So if Drake sings, says a few words on a song, Universal Music owns that. What did Kendrick do? Kendrick Lamar took his copyrights off of his own music so people can use that and make money off of it. So you can see clearly who's for the people and who's not.
Whatever he got with Universal, I don't trust it. I'm just telling you, I do not trust it. That big headline that went out about 400, 500 million a year, and it's weird. It's wrong.
In what regard?
Nobody at his level tours that much. You don't.
Unless you have to.
Unless you have.
Drake has a rich baby daddy named Lucien and Universal.
Wow.
He's like, like, man, my daddy got it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, my daddy controlled the spins. My daddy got the DSPs. Drake has a rich baby.
So Drake just got hit with a copyright strike from his own label Universal Music Group after dropping some unreleased tracks, including collabs with 21 Savage and L as part of his 100 gigs data dump. And now rumors are flying that there's some major tension brewing between Drake and behind the scenes. But here's the kicker, there's not much Drizzy can do about it because he reportedly signed that huge 360 deal with back in 2021. So basically owns him and he can't make a move without their approval, and insiders are saying that this is why Drake's been spiraling lately. Apparently, he's in a pretty bad headspace because despite all this success, he doesn't actually own any of his music, and every time he wants to release something new, he's got to run it by first. But fans aren't exactly shedding any tears for Drake. A lot of them are saying this is his karma for being more focused on the money than the actual love of hip-hop or the culture. So what's really happening between Drake and is Drake spiraling because he sold his soul to the label, and now he's stuck. Let's break it all down.
Don't like the industry, particularly because the industry robs artists all the time. If Drake was smart and really that powerful of an artist and actually believed in himself, he could have went independent and pocketed all of that money for himself. But he loves the industry. That's how I see it.
The ugly truth about the 360 deal. All right, let's break down what a 360 deal is and why it's a big deal. So basically, a 360 deal is like a package deal between an artist and a music company. The company agrees to back the artist financially, helping with everything from advances and marketing to promotion and touring. In return, the artist has to share a slice of almost every pie: digital streaming, live performances, merch sales, endorsement deals, you name it. The company gets a cut, unlike the old school contracts where artists kept most of their personal revenue streams separate. A 360 deal means the company gets a piece of pretty much everything, but there's a catch. The company usually throws more money and support upfront, which sounds great, but it also means they expect a lot in return. Why did this happen? Well, around the early 2000s, the music industry saw profits from recorded music tank, and the fat profit margins vanished. Enter the 360 deal. It was the industry's way of grabbing a share of what had been the artists' private money makers, like concert sponsorships and merch sales. This was their attempt to stay afloat when the old revenue streams were drying up. However, critics of 360 deals say that record labels often get the better end of the bargain. They argue that these deals can end up exploiting artists by grabbing a bigger slice of their earnings while not always delivering the support or transparency that was promised. Sure, labels might offer some nice cash up front, but the way the revenue is split can seriously cut into an artist's earnings over time. Even if an artist blows up, they could end up making less than expected, especially if they get stuck relying on advances and struggling to cover the cost of all that marketing and promo. Another major downside is the loss of creative control. In a 360 deal, artists might feel pressured to follow the label's lead, cranking out music that fits whatever commercial trend the label's pushing. This can water down their artistic voice and hold them back from really connecting with their fans. Over the years, we've seen a lot of artists, especially black artists, speaking out about feeling trapped in these exploitative record deals. Even some of the biggest artists of all time, like Michael Jackson and Prince, had to fight tooth and nail to gain ownership of their music, and UMG even worried that his life was in danger because of his lucrative catalog. And to add insult to injury, these labels found a way to exploit them even after they passed. The crazy part is that Michael was genuinely terrified for his life and tried to warn his family that powerful figures were out to get him for his music catalog.
He died. You've been quoted as saying you believe it may have been murder. Do you still think that?
Absolutely.
Why are you
I
so
would
sure?
never ever think differently. Because first of all, Michael told you that they were going to murder him. He was afraid. He was afraid for his life. The people that were involved in his life, the people that were controlling him, life, where people come into your life, wiggle their way in, control you, manipulate, control your funds, your finances, everything that you have, and you must do what they tell you to do. And that's what Michael was going through. And he knew that everything that was happening to him was not kosher, it wasn't right, and it disturbed him greatly. And he kept saying it over and over and over again.
As for Prince, he also wasn't shy about calling out his label Warner Brothers, and he spent decades fighting for the ownership of his masters.
Why it became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise. And they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they ship, right? So ultimately, it keeps us apart, and it keeps the people in power. My elders up in here, let's talk about all this. Distribution service. I mean, what do we really need record companies for? I mean, really.
In 2014, Prince finally got control of his masters. However, less than 2 years later, he suddenly passed from a suspected OD. Sure, it might be a coincidence, but with everything we know about the entertainment industry, it's hard not to be suspicious. But let's get back to Drake and his deal with Universal Music Group. Is Drake caught in a similar web of control with And how does this all tie into his ongoing drama with Kendrick Lamar? Drake's contract. So back in 2021, there was a lot of buzz about Drake landing a huge deal with Universal Music Group, rumored to be between $4,500 million. Drake himself dropped some not-so-subtle hints in his track Major Distribution that his deal is on a whole different level, with lines like $500 million just for Aubrey. He was basically flaunting that he's got way more freedom and perks compared to other artists. But wait, there's more. Rumor has it, or some would say conspiracy theory, that Drake's getting special treatment in the rap game because of his cultural background. Some folks are saying that his unique position and connections might be giving him an edge over other artists.
There are dudes like my dad who cling to the biggest reaches. Who's Jewish? Matt Damon. I'm like, no, he's not, Dad. He's definitely not Jewish. And people reach, and the fact that you actually identify, that's gonna be big. You're doing something that I could never do.
There was also this short clip from an interview with the Universal Music Group CEO, who said that Drake can get any amount of money he asked for from the label. And with the people pulling Drake strings, spill all your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to stick around for the next video. And thanks for watching our video.